Hello again, everybody. Zack Attack is here with my WWE Raw review for tonight, Monday, February 25th, 2013. Now, the good news and the bad news. The good news is, in my mind, tonight, the world of WrestleMania, I think officially began tonight, with indeed some big returns. Well, one big return and a great, should I say, epic main event tonight to, of course, determine who would face The Rock for the WWE Championship in WrestleMania. The bad news is, despite all that good stuff, the big return tonight wasn't one we expected or rumored after what happened this weekend. To end the suspense, no Undertaker. Yes, despite the fact that, yes, he did return at a house show at Waco, Texas, with reports of WWE not feeling Taker's return after that return to Texas. Taker did not, of course, return tonight, despite many rumors and predictions, including myself predicting that I thought Taker was going to get involved tonight. But indeed, no, Taker did not show up tonight. He could end up showing up next week to finally tease his match with his possible opponent for the CM Punk. But like I mentioned, we did have a return for Raw tonight, in my mind, the night that WrestleMania Road began officially. Which was, well, man, that I also predicted was going to come back. At least, despite me being wrong and Taker being involved, I was right on one thing. About two men being involved in the fight between Paul Heyman and Vince McMahon, which started off Raw this evening. Vince McMahon coming out saying, we're going to begin Raw big tonight. Let's have this fight with Heyman now. Sorry about the hiccups. So bear with me with the hiccups here. Paul Heyman came out after Vince McMahon called him out. Vince McMahon called him out, and he's like, I've been waiting all my life to do this, Vince McMahon, waiting all my career to beat the crap out of you for what you've done to promoters like me, putting me out of business, blah, 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 blah. Even made fun of the Dallas Cowboys about them not making a Super Bowl, which is true. Of course, they were in Dallas, Texas after all tonight. Anyway, of course, Heyman, as he was going on his rant, he tackled Vince McMahon down to start the fight. As Heyman started, he grabbed the crutch after tackling Vince. Cheap tackle, as some would say. He grabbed the crutch, nailed Vince McMahon with it, and beat a crap out of Vince with it, mostly on the injured hip. They still had injury on real life or not, whereas real life. But anyway, after Heyman had an early advantage with the beatdown with the crutch, Heyman tried to go to crutch again with Vince. Like I said, some hiccups. You're gonna hear a lot of that tonight. Vince grabbed the crutch from Heyman as Heyman was trying to get him again, and Heyman got hit with the crutch this time. But like I predicted last week, and I was right about this prediction, yes, Brock Lesnar came out to get involved in this fight with Vince McMahon and Heyman. As Brock Lesnar was getting ready to beat up Vince, my other prediction for who was going to be involved in this fight did happen. Triple H came back. Triple H came back to beat the crap out of Brock Lesnar. Yes, I've been saying my attack lines. I'm not looking forward to Triple H Lesnar fighting again after that silly, stupid match at SummerSlam. I thought Lesnar and Cena, despite a screwy ending, Cena winning, I thought that match was way more exciting and intense than Triple H and Lesnar at SummerSlam. But hopefully, if they have this Lesnar Triple H match in Mania happen, hopefully it'll be a no holds barred match. A fight, not a match, a fight. And hopefully, this scene that we saw tonight is what is going to be happening during this fight at Mania. Triple H beat the crap out of Lesnar, jumped all over him, nailed him against the ring post, bloodying his ass off. TVPG. Oh, yeah. More like TV-14. Anyway, Triple H beat the crap out of Lesnar, ending with a spine buster. Indeed, signaling that, yes, Triple H is back to fight Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania 29 after weeks and months of rumors. So, despite, like I said, my qualms about this match, it's probably going to happen, probably made official next week. But indeed, yes, Paul Heyman and McMahon fight, yes, involved Triple H and Lesnar after I predicted it, and I was right on that. So there you go. Triple H Lesnar and Mania build-up began tonight with Triple H beating the crap out of Brock Lesnar after getting involved in the Paul Heyman Vince McMahon fight. Like I had predicted. It was bloody. It was kind of cool. Anyway, but the last time Triple H beat the crap out of somebody in a fight to hype up WrestleMania, the match sucked. WrestleMania 25, his match against Randy Orton. It was hyped up so bad A lot of hype in that match, but it sucked. Hopefully the hype between Lesnar and Triple H lives up to it at Mania, despite my qualms about it. Right, on with our first matchup, which involved Ryback taking on Dolph Ziggler. Now you can tell me that Ryback can lose cleanly to the Shield 2 weeks in a row in 6-man tag, yet you can still have him beat the crap out of Dolph Ziggler, miss the Money in the Bank. WWE logic for you, stupid. Despite many attempts at interference by AJ and Biggie Langston, Dolph Ziggler could not finish off the beast that is Ryback. Yes, Ziggler tried his best to fight off the beast, but indeed, it was a long match, actually. Longer by Ryback standards, because usually Ryback matches are very short but sweet. It ran at least one commercial break. Anyway, like I said, here comes. Anyway, like I said, despite many interferences by Biggie and AJ, indeed, Ryback did get the victory on Dolph Ziggler, delivering a shell shock 1-2-3 victory for Ryback. Okay matchup for being a Ryback match. I just think Biggie Langston and AJ are a hindrance to Dolph Ziggler. Because Dolph Ziggler tried to cash in Money in the Bank last week, but thwarted by Eduardo Del Rio's personal ring announcer, Ricardo Rodriguez. And now tonight he loses to Ryback. So hopefully Dolph Ziggler can finally cash in Money in the Bank soon. He doesn't have much time. You know, the deadline to use it, he has about a year to use it, where he hasn't used it yet. Although, he won it in July, so he still has time, though. Because if he won it at Mania, it would end soon. But he won it in July and Money in the Bank pay-per-view, so there you go. Ziggler still has time to cash it in, but does his career have time to benefit from it if he cashes in? Randy catches it. So there, Ryback defeats Dolph Ziggler. Now, speaking of title shots, of course, CM Punk has had the opportunity tonight to wrestle John Cena to get an opportunity to fight for the WWE Championship against The Rock in WrestleMania. And CM Punk came out to deliver a promo despite being overrated. Not many people stand I like Punk. I've always liked him. And despite my qualms about the reaction with Punk lately about being this a little bit of a crybaby here, I still think Punk is a decent wrestler. Maybe not the best in the world, but still probably one of the best. And anyway, Punk delivered once again another great promo. Promos have been lacking as of late, but I think this was another decent promo from the master of the pipe bomb. Of course, he's saying that this match is not about who's going to go on to WrestleMania. It's not about John Cena. It's not even about the WWE Championship at WrestleMania. It's all about me, CM Punk, the future of WWE, the best in the world, blah, blah, blah. Calling himself an icon among superstars of past and present, and calling himself a wrestling god. What is he, Ric Flair and JBL now? Calling himself God of Wrestling? Anyway, and it's ironic. They had an old JBL promo with John Cena from WrestleMania 21, the Few Good Men parody. Anyway, there you go. Punk talking about the match between him and Cena. Like you mentioned, that main event tonight was indeed epic. And I'll talk about that match in full depth if we get to it in this review. Now, 2 things were mentioned tonight. 2 little announcements were made. 1, WWE announced that next week's Raw will be going old school. I love the old school Raw they did with the old school ropes, old school setup with the interview stage 3 years ago. I think this is WWE's way of redeeming themselves after not acknowledging the legends and not having a perfect attempt at the 20th anniversary show, which was, including myself, complained by people, like I said, by me, complained about lack of legends. Of course, it was supposed to be a big celebration. I think WWE said to themselves, to make up for a shitty attempt at a 20th anniversary with lack of legends, let's have an old school show with legends. Hopefully, legends will show up next week on Old School Raw. And indeed be a decent Raw. That Old School Raw, like I said 3 years ago, was great. Hopefully, it can be good again with Old School Raw next week, especially after following this week's Raw. Now, second announcement made tonight, a new name mentioned for the WWE Class of 2013 Hall of Fame. Joining Bob Backlund, Trish Stratus, Mick Foley, and Bruno Sammartino is a celebrity. It's been rumored to add a celebrity, and the celebrity has been added to be inducted into Celebrity Ring in the Hall of Fame. And who better to be inducted into the Hall of Fame Celebrity Ring this year than a man who is indeed born and bred in New York City area, of course, being at New York City this year, the man who built himself by his last name, whose venues have hosted WrestleManias 4 and 5 twice, 2 years in a row, the only venue to do that, and involved in a great moment, of course, being the deal breaker, the one that spoils it. Great moment at WrestleMania 21, WrestleMania 23 in Detroit, where I was at. Second WrestleMania I went to, besides WrestleMania 18, shaving the head of Vince McMahon in the Battle of the Billionaires. Of course, I'm referring to the star of Celebrity Apprentice, whatever you want to call it, Donald Trump. Now, there's people in the WWE Celebrity Ring. They've inducted a lot of people in there. Bob Uecker, Pete Rose, Mike Tyson. Those are deserved. Their moments in WrestleMania were significant. Pete Rose's interference with Kane. Mike Tyson being extremely influential in the match between Shawn Michaels and Stone Cold Steve Austin at WrestleMania 14. But one is not deserved in my mind, Drew Carey. But I think Donald Trump is deserved. Yes, he hosted WrestleMania twice. His venue, Trump Plaza in Atlantic City. And, of course, shaving Vince McMahon's head. And also owning Raw for a little while. Of course, starting the guest host trend that was a kind of a mixed success. So there you go. Donald Trump, inducted to the WWE Hall of Fame class of 2013. Now on to our next match, which was a squash for Great Khali against Mark Henry. I think Khali wrestled Henry last week, or was it 2 weeks ago? Well, it was like basically the same result. Khali had an opportunity to take advantage, but indeed Khali, despite being taller than Henry, wasn't as strong as the world's strongest man. And Khali did the world's strongest slam in a 1-2-3 victory by Mark Henry. I wish Henry would strongest slam Hornswoggle again this week, because he deserves it. Anyway, because I hate comedy stick of Hornswoggle. Oh, and Khali, and I've said it again, I'll say it once, I'll say it again. I feel bad for Natalya being in a situation. She needs to wrestle, not in this stupid shtick with Khali and Hornswoggle. I also feel bad about Tenzai. I've said it a lot about Tenzai. I feel bad for him being in a shtick with Mortis Clay. Anyway, on to our next segment, which was Miz TV, which involved the two men involved in the WWE World Heavyweight Championship match at Mania. The world champion, Alberto Del Rio, with Ricardo Rodriguez, and his challenger, Jack Swagger, with his associate, Zeb Colter. Now, of course, it was all over the news this week about this whole Tea Party thing. I knew that was the direction WWE was going to go with, despite, of course, a lot of conservative news people like Alex Jones, a lot of these political people talking about it, especially Glenn Beck, who I'll get to in a moment, talking about this whole Tea Party thing, this whole storyline. I knew that was going to be the direction that the WWE was going to take with this match. I knew after Swagger beat everybody at the Elimination Chamber, I knew that that was a storyline they were going to go with. The immigration thing, the illegals, and illegal alien / everything, politically correct criminals, whatever you want to call them. Alberto Del Rio being your world champion. But indeed, Zeb Colter said, of course, since Glenn Beck, despite being invited after making fun of stupid WWE fans, I think the people who watch Glenn Beck fans are stupid. Because, my dad's more of a political guy. My dad watches all these political things. I'm more about the entertainment things. My dad can go all out about this political bullshit going on. Anyway, despite that, Glenn Beck not showing up and hiding from Michael Cole, being interviewed. Anyway, of course, Zeb Colter went on a rant once again about we the people, we patriots are sick and tired of people like you, Alberto, you illegal immigrants, illegal aliens, what you want to call yourselves, illegal criminals, coming in to steal our property, to steal our jobs, blah, 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 blah. Like I said, sorry for the hiccups. Yeah. That's the case tonight. Alberto stood all he could take and finally shut up, Zeb Colter, and set his people up, saying that, Zeb, you don't own this country. I don't own this country. The people do. The people make this country what it is today, despite many people hating our country for what we've done with the government. Like I said, I don't want to go into that political stuff. I don't dabble in that much. Pero says, I am the example of the American dream, that I'm a guy that came from another country despite coming legally or not to live out the American dream, the promise of a new tomorrow, blah, 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 that anything is indeed possible. And Bono was ready to put his money where his mouth was and fight Swagger then and there. But Swagger basically walked out saying, "We will see you at WrestleMania. We the people." After that, doing WWE Raw Active, which I have that app, as Swagger and Zeb Coulter were leaving, they confronted Miz about the interviewing skills he did, blah, 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 blah. And Swagger beat the crap out of Miz, causing a match we made tonight between Jack Swagger and Miz later on tonight. Now, on to the next matchup, which involved the United States Champion, Antonio Cesaro, taking on Randy Orton. I don't know what they're doing with Orton these days. I don't know what Orton's been saying he wants to go on a break. And when's that heel turn coming? Anyway, I think Orton's got no direction at all. Just randomly facing people, especially randomly facing up against Antonio Cesaro. Could he go for a U.S. title shot? You never know. It's like the beneath Orton because he's like a multi-time world champion. Anyway, Cesaro dominated the early half of this matchup. It was an okay matchup. But indeed, the old Viper, the Apex Predator, whatever nickname they decided to call him this week, I missed the Legend Killer. Anyway, since Randy Orton was indeed dominant for the later half of the matchup, but indeed Cesaro was trying to fight back as he was trying to go off the top rope for a big move. Randy Orton caught him with a mid-air RKO. I know Orton's done that mid-air RKO before. I still like when he does that, although this RKO or mid-air on Cesaro was not as good as his RKO mid-air from Evan Bourne to Evan Bourne. Is Evan Bourne ever going to come back? I heard he may. Anyway, same with Christian. When's Christian coming back? When's Evan Bourne coming back? Anyway, despite that, with that mid-air RKO on Cesaro, Randy Orton gets the victory. 1, 2, 3. So there you go, on directionless. But we may see him on directionless for long, as he would be involved in a segment later on in the evening involving the Shield. Now on with our next little segment, which involved Sheamus, which was, in my mind, pointless, and I knew what it was for. That they said that Sheamus had his Oscar snubs, whatever he wants to call it. And I knew one thing, that this Oscar snubs was going to be all about making fun, again, like he did last week, about Wayne Barrett and his lack of acting skills in the new movie from WWE Studios, Dead Man Down. A lot of promotion for WWE Films tonight, promoting Dead Man Down, The Call, and Marine 3 with The Miz. But anyway, Sheamus, as I expected, made fun of Wayne Barrett. I think they could have a match in Mania. I think you're going to hear me talk about possible Mania matches being somewhat hinted tonight, kind of like planting the seed tonight. Sheamus planted his seed, a possible feud with Wade Barrett for the Intercontinental Championship in Mania, with this interruption of Wade Barrett's trailer for Dead Man Down last week, and once again, making fun of Wade and his acting skills yet again. Wade Barrett come out, trying to beat the crap out of Sheamus, but indeed, Sheamus had the upper hand, trying to nail a broke kick, but Wade Barrett ducked out of it before getting it. So there you go, a possible match between Wade Barrett and Sheamus at Mania, but you never know. That's my prediction. The seed's been planted 2 weeks ago with Sheamus making fun of Barrett. So that could be the thing. We'll see if the feud develops even further in the next couple of weeks. Speaking of possible Mania matches, we could see another possible reunion of Team World Scholars taking on another reunion of sorts, the reunited tag team of Kofi Kingston and R-Truth. That seed was also planted last week when Antonio Cesaro, not Antonio Cesaro, sorry. I botched just like Michael Cole did when he said, "Let's look back at next week to see when The Rock revealed his title." It was last week, dumbass. Anyway, I botched like Michael Cole tonight. Anyway, Damian Sandow beat the crap out of Kofi Kingston last week in not a match, but more like a segment to set up R-Truth's return to beat the crap out of Sandow. Tonight, however, after that segment last week, Sandow was at ringside watching R-Truth take on his best friend, tag team partner, former tag team partner, where you want to say, Cody Rhodes. Now, Cody Rhodes indeed had the advantage early on. He was like more physical wrestler, focusing on a leg of R-Truth. He was indeed looking very decent in this matchup, despite my hatred for him as a character. But I like his development the last couple of years. I hate his promos, but things got better in the promos, and of course, the mustache. And anyway, despite that, R-Truth got the victory with a scissors kick and a 1-2-3 victory for R-Truth. After that, when R-Truth got attacked by Sandow, but R-Truth nailed back, tossing Sandow off the top. Like I said, possible match between Truth and Kofi reuniting against the reunited World Scholars at Mania. Just like I said, like the situation with Sheamus and Barrett developing, the seed was planted last week and developed yet again this week, despite no appearance by Kofi this week. So see if the match between those two teams do develop in the next couple weeks, like the possible Sheamus Wade Barrett feud. Now on to our next match, which involved the tag team champions Team Hell No in a non-title match against the PTP five-time players. Kind of see them back. Now Team Hell No was having a conversation, of course, the continuing dysfunction between them two. They were talking about the match tonight against part-time players. Taking plans like, I can be both of them blindfolded. Kane's like, oh yeah, I can tie him. I can beat him up with all the time on my back. Well, Team Bricky, as they call themselves, of course, picking away out the supervising managing supervisor of Raw, along with her assistant, paramedics, as they call themselves, as he called them, said, oh yeah, Kane and Daniel Bryan, put your money where your mouth is. And yes, they did put their money where their mouths were. As yes, Kane had one arm tied behind his back, and Daniel Bryan was blindfolded. But in my mind, it was kind of a stupid attempt. They put a plastic bag all over Daniel Bryan, like a hefty bag, it looked like. At least when they had the blindfold match against Jake the Snake Roberts and Rick the Model Martel at WrestleMania 7, they had snake bags instead of plastic bags all over them. Because plastic bag can suffocate people. Why would you put a plastic bag instead of a snake bag? Snake bags are not as lethal to choke people like a plastic bag over someone's head. Which one it was, a plastic garbage bag all over Daniel Bryan's head. And like that blindfold match in Mania, proved why that was kind of a silly comical match. That blindfold match in Mania, by the way, Snake Roberts and Rick Martel, probably one of the stupidest matches in Mania history, besides the super match between Big Show and Akebono at WrestleMania 21. Anyway, proved why that blindfold match was stupid. It was kind of a comical match. Daniel Bryan not knowing which way to go. And indeed, he get the blind tag, pardon the pun, blind tag from Kane. And his blind one on top on his back. Kane did get the victory for the team. Went for one on the choke slam on Darren Young. Like I said, kind of a comical match, stupid match. But the Team Hell No got the victory. I think Team Hell No will lose the titles eventually. I've been seeing that develop in the last couple of weeks. Those two not getting along after graduating from their anger management classes. I've been seeing that, like the Wombo chamber match, where you want to call it, the hatred of each other is developed, but I think it could erupt over time and lose the titles. Now on to our next segment, which involved the Shield. Now, despite my hatred for the storyline, I think the Shield is a dominant tag team. They proved it by not only winning over Cena, Ryback, and Sheamus, despite my fears of them not winning at the Elimination Chamber last week, but also winning on Raw against Sheamus, Ryback, and Chris Jericho. Now, Shield came out saying that we've dominated the entire WWE roster, that no one's left, no one can stop us, we're unstoppable. It'd be kind of cool and weird to see Shield be tag team champions, because they had that rule with the Spirit Squad when they were tag team champions, that, of course, they had 5 guys, but 2 guys held the title at a time. Of course, that rule also applied to another 3-man team, Demolition, Axe Smash Crush. Anyway, Shield was talking about how dominant they were and saying, who's left to beat us? Sheamus came out of the ramp saying, come to the ramp, boys. I want a piece of ya, fella. So as Ambrose and Reigns came out to attack Sheamus on the ramp, they inadvertently left Seth Rollins all alone, taking a sneak attack all KO from Randy Orton from the crowd. And Orton ran out like a hit and run, running out from the crowd before Ambrose and Reigns could attack him. Despite my little prediction about Orton possibly facing off against the solid Mania, could be a possible match between Sheamus, Orton, and a mystery partner against the Shield at Mania, but I don't think they're going to face off in a match at Mania. I think it'll be possibly like a SmackDown or Raw match, like next week or a couple weeks. Anyway, on to our next match, our co-main event, which was The Miz against Jack Swagger, like I said, stemming from Miz TV tonight. It's kind of weird to see these two wrestle because they got a lot in common. Both former WWE and World Champions, and both cashed in Money to Bank the same year. Jack Swagger winning and she gained Money to Bank after WrestleMania 26. And Miz winning it at the first ever Money to Bank pay-per-view that July, cashing it in November on Randy Orton after Survivor Series. Anyway, these two guys, very athletic guys, despite Miz's repertoire as a reality guy. It was a pretty good matchup with these guys. Pretty athletic swagger. Of course, the old cliche when people come back is, oh, they're bigger, better, and stronger than ever. Well, I can use that phrase, truly, for Jack Swagger. He looks better than ever. He looks tougher than ever. He has no silly gimmicks. Well, despite the gimmick with Zeb Coulter is a useful gimmick. Anyway, Jack Swagger definitely early half of the matchup. Miz tried to fight back. But indeed, the end of the match came when Swagger had Miz's leg hung up on the rope, focusing on the leg to weaken it enough to get the Patriot Act, ankle lock, what do you want to call it, on Miz, forcing the tap out. And indeed, Swagger gaining more momentum for his match against Alberto Del Rio for the World Championship at WrestleMania. Speaking of title matches at WrestleMania, of course, I've been talking about this main event throughout the entire video. Now here it is. My talk, the main event. The determine the number one contender for The Rock at WrestleMania. Title shot on the line. As John Cena, the winner of the Royal Rumble, putting that opportunity up on the line against CM Punk. The last 2 months, we've seen possible match of the year qualifiers like Cena and Ziggler on the first Raw of the year. Their cage match the next week, that's shitty 20th anniversary attempt. And matches between Punk and Jericho and Bryan. But I think tonight, Punk and Cena could be another contender for match of the year. I've seen all the matches in the last 2 years. The match at Mania was great in 2011. The match at Night of Champions was great. And I think a lot of people have been saying this on Facebook. I may have to agree that this match tonight was better than all the pay-per-view matches. Like the pay-per-view match, the match started off slow at first with a lot of headlocks, a lot of technical things. But indeed, the last 20-30 minutes, it was like every other Cena Punk match, counter after counter, near fall to near fall. It was like a very long match, and at least through 2 or 3 commercial breaks. It was a long, at least 30-40 minutes. It was indeed an intense matchup with big implications for the title. So some of the most significant spots in this match, some of my favorite spots, was the counter between Punk and Cena when they were doing their submissions. Like Cena had the STFU on Punk, and Punk countered out of it to get the Anaconda Vice on him. Then Cena, that sequence of events between them switching submissions, like that, going from STFU to Anaconda Vice to STFU again. That was probably one of my favorite spots of the night. And of course, the spots on the match that everyone's going to be talking about is finally, after years and years of the 5 moves of doom, I think we can call it the 7 moves of doom. Yeah, Cena finally added some new fucking moves to his repertoire after years of being dissed by people like me for his lack of wrestling ability. He added a powerbomb on Punk, and near the end of the match, a Hurricanrana. You know, at least, hey, despite getting hated on for his lack of wrestling ability, at least Cena's finally somewhat adding new moves, shutting the critics up once and for all. So now it's kind of good to see Cena doing new moves. Plus, my other favorite spot was Punk delivering a power driver. TVPG. Yeah, white. So that was another great spot from that match. But indeed, it was another epic match from these guys. Like I said, probably their best match ever was just intense. Count after counter, near fall. And I dissed the crowd on walls a lot, but I think this crowd was very good tonight in Raw in Dallas. Despite I think I heard more people being more Cena fans than Punk fans. Anyway, and like I said, I thought it would be like a silly ending with like Taker interfering to cause him and Punk at Mania, or to cause a triple threat between Punk, Cena, and Rock at Mania. It was a clean ending, because these guys, last time they fought for the title, it was a shitty ending, that double pin, but it ended cleanly after what seemed like an eternity, with a lot of near falls and counter after counter, exciting moments in this matchup. Like I said, very intense matchup. Punk was ready to deliver the elbow at the top. He missed. Cena got out of it. He nailed the aforementioned Hurricanrana, nailed the FU after many attempts. I think he did like 3 5-knuckle shovels before finally nailing it on Punk. Punk countered every one of them. Need to mention that. Anyway, like I said, after the Hurricanrana, the FU, 1, 2, 3. John Cena, yes, despite my hatred for it being Cena Rock 2 again, yes, that main event for Mania between Cena and Rock again is still going on. As Cena did defeat CM Punk, and like I said, a great, epic matchup for the opportunity to wrestle Rock and WrestleMania. It's kind of cool that Rock wasn't there tonight. it had the spotlight shown on Triple H and Lesnar, and of course shown brightly on Punk and John Cena fighting for the opportunity to face The Rock at the WWE Championship at Mania. Now, despite my qualms of the last couple of weeks about the possibility of seeing The Rock 2 again, I wish it was still a triple threat, make it more interesting, but I think Taker will finally return next week to start his feud against Punk finally. But indeed, Cena Rock is happening once again. So there you go. Like I said, it's Raw, great Raw tonight. In my mind, like I said, Raw tonight. The official World Mania begins tonight with Cena beating Punk, Triple H returning to start the feud with Lesnar. And of course, other possible matches could be made, like Cesaro and Orton, Sandow and Rhodes against Miz and Kofi and Truth. And of course, like I mentioned, another match I could predict Steve's planning for Sheamus and Barrows. See what Mania matches get made in the next couple weeks. And hope Raw Old School next week is great. I love it. Like I said 3 years ago, hope this Old School Raw next week is awesome. I want some legends. Me and Gene, baby. That's it for my WWE Raw review for tonight. With that in mind, you've all been attacked by the review of Zach. Thank you all very much for watching. Have a good night. See you later. Yeah.